All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, training camp is officially back for the New York Jets. We finally are getting practice updates. This stuff is so cool, man. I'm so freaking pumped up. Football's back. Preseason is quickly approaching. August 10th is the first preseason game. That's insane to think about. Like, I want to say a month from now, preseason will be over. So we're here and things are happening. So let's dive into this practice. What went down? First things first, no Hassan Reddick. I got to be honest. I had a little bit of hope last night, like right when I was going to sleep. I was going to wake up and just kind of see this notification from like Schefter or Rappaport. The New York Jets and Hassan Reddick have agreed to something, whether it's, there's this 1 year solution, whether it's the extension, what have you. At the end of the day, Reddick is such a good pass rusher. And to have him on this football team locked in, loaded, ready for the start of training camp would have been flat out sweet. And finally, we could just put the storyline to bed because it's been a talking point for literal months since we got him, actually. And speaking of Reddick, Ian Rappaport was actually at Jets camp today, and he was on the Jets official podcast / YouTube channel, and he was saying that he's actually surprised that it's gotten this far with Reddick, to the point where Reddick is now getting fined every single $50K every single day that he's not there, which is, obviously a ton of money. And he essentially alluded to the Browns and, what they did with Amari Cooper. This could be somewhat of a solution that the Jets could do with Hassan Reddick. And this has been talked about, right? I mean, there's so many different solutions that you can do if you are the Jets here to get Reddick into camp, whether it's just giving him the extension outright, how long, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. I mean, you can make a debate for all three of those pathways. You can fully max out his guaranteed money for this year. You can give him more money for this season. You could add on incentives. You can do the fully guaranteed 14 mil, which is it's a bargain. For a top pass rusher, getting $14 million, that is a steal in today's market. And tack on incentives as well. Throw on another, whatever it is, 5-6 million. I mean, that's something that's also reasonable. I mean, Hassan Reddick is a great football player, but yeah, again, here we are. He's not there in camp. Now, sticking with defensive end, here's a little interesting storyline. Now, of course, it's, day one of practices for the Jets. But if we looked at who started at defensive end, it was Jermaine Johnson, but it was Michael Clemens on the other side. Again, I don't want to sit here and overreact or anything, but I think it is a pretty interesting point to talk about because the Jets have had all off season. We've already had, voluntary OTAs, mini camp, everything is in the books right now. This is when it actually matters. And Clemens is getting the nod over Will McDonald. Now, could that change tomorrow? 100%. 100%. But it was reported, I think it was from Nick Faria, that Will McDonald was working almost exclusively with the second team today. No injuries have been talked about or anything like that with Will. It's not like he's coming back from something. So an interesting situation there. But I do feel like with this storyline potentially brewing, the whole Hassan Reddick situation is just makes it even more loud in the room, if you will. Now, when we take a look at the injuries for today, AVT was not in these team drills. Morgan Moses was not in these team drills. Mike Williams, Jordan Travis. But here's the good news. Mike Williams, right, according to Rich Cimini, is progressing. Things are a lot better than where they originally were back in, again, the early parts of the offseason with voluntary OTAs and minicamp and whatnot. So with Mike Williams, although his status for the start of training camp was uncertain and he's, clearly not practicing, it's heading in the right direction, which is an awesome sign. Because look, if Mike Williams is healthy, man, I'm telling you, it would not be surprising. Again, assuming he's healthy from week one and plays the entire season, or maybe misses a game or two. But with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, with the amount of weapons that this Jets offense has, with the defense that we have to get the ball back to the offense, I mean, I could very well see Mike Williams having 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. I think that is totally realistic to talk about. Truly a deep threat, a true deep threat, big catch radius, big play machine, tons of experience under his belt, but also, you still kind of feel like you haven't seen the best of Mike Williams yet. So really, really excited about that little piece of news from Rich Samini here. And then as far as the offensive line goes, we talked about ABT and Moses not being out there in the team practices. Who were starting in place of those guys? It was Max Mitchell at right tackle. I was actually expecting it to be Carter Warren, but it was Max Mitchell, and then Wes Schweitzer at right guard. Aaron Rodgers looked absolutely fantastic today. Now, granted, it supposedly was a lot of short passes, but look, he was completing a ton of them. He was spraying the football around, getting guys involved, including Allen Lazard. And again, according to Nick Faria here, he said that it was easily the best day for Allen Lazard as a Jet. I mean, talk about getting off on the right foot. Talk about kicking things off with a bang, right? That is what I want to see, because look, whether you want Lazard here or you want him off the team, the chances of the Jets cutting him are I mean, it's just so unlikely because he's owed so much guaranteed. So the Jets, who are already third in the NFL in dead money for the season, they're probably not going to cut somebody who is familiar with Rodgers, familiar with Hackett, and somebody who, Joe Douglas handed out a 4-year deal to. It would be different if it was a 1-year non-guaranteed type of contract, but again, 4-year contract, coming off a super disappointing season, this is what I wanted to see, man. Allen Lazard stepping up and having a great day. This is awesome. Supposedly another standout player was Leki Fotu in the running game, right? Leki Fotu is going to have a ton of responsibilities for this team this year. That's just the bottom line. We lose the guy in Al Woods. We lose a guy in JFM. Not to mention we lose, some other like pass rushing options, but Leki Fotu is going to be the team's best run stuffer, right? Of course, next to Quinton Williams, but he's going to be relied on heavily. If he is hurt, if he does not look good, if he is, just slower or sluggish or just frankly not performing, the Jets are really going to struggle in the running game. But again, today, Leki Fotu stood out. He made multiple plays and flashed multiple times. That is sweet, right? I think, this offseason, it's been pretty crazy with obviously Mike Williams, big name, Tyron Smith, big name, trading for Morgan Moses, big name, finally figuring out the backup quarterback position in Tyrod Taylor. When we're talking about backup QBs, a bigger name, Kinlaw even. Leki Fotu's kind of flown under the radar a little bit, but his responsibilities for this season are, again, really, really high. So to see him already making plays on day one of practice, awesome. Now, this was actually probably my favorite thing coming out of Jets camp today. The young players, man. The young players supposedly looked really, really good. I'm talking about Eric Watts getting in the backfield, making plays. Qwan'tez Stiggers having an interception. Braylon Allen made plays and looked really good. We can talk about my guy Bernard-Converse from LSU and Oklahoma State, who was a late round pick, not this past season, but the year prior, right? Who unfortunately was sidelined with an injury. Couldn't really see a ton of him in that off season. So this is, really with our starters pretty much locked up, or starters as in like top 3 safeties. This is a big offseason for him to stick around. We have Jalen Key coming in from Alabama, last pick in the NFL draft. But JBC looked good today. He had supposedly a nice pass deflection, pass breakup early on in practice. And they actually mentioned in that same stream with Rappaport to the Jets YouTube channel, they talked about Bernard-Converse taking practice snaps at corner in the early parts of the offseason program. So they said, somebody to keep your eye on as a potential, not 100% full-blown positional change. But if we think back to Bernard-Converse back in college, he did play corner. He was that, corner/safety. And if we think back, Oklahoma State's defense, fantastic. So he was there for the 4 years and then spends that last season with LSU, where, great defense there as well. So to me, great day, right? Injury-free, no crazy I don't want to say crazy storylines outside of Hassan Reddick, of course, but young players stepping up. We have new faces making plays. Awesome, man. Awesome. And then the last thing I wanted to quickly say was during the Robert Saleh press conference after the practice, it was handled, in my opinion, extremely well. Of course, confirm the Bernard-Converse positional movement going from safety to corner, but just his whole demeanor throughout the whole thing, there was just this calm sense, right? There wasn't this anxious or stressed out thing. Even during the Reddick stuff, it just seemed like totally status quo. It is what it is type of attitude. So yeah, great day. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.